Hi, this is Ari Gold, and you're listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Carpenter, ex Rush monitor guy. You are listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Hi, this is Rush superfan Jeff Wagner, and you're listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys.
And now, get ready for the Two Guys Talking Rush podcast with your hosts, John Kane and Dan Bukszpan.
Right. And was Michael cool? I mean, imagine
He was, yeah, we weren't like super chummy, but he was like, he kind of did the right thing for me in the movie in the sense of like, he intimidated me. Like I was a little scared of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really nice. There was no like weirdness. But I was a little intimidated by him, which matched my character is also intimidated by his father. So it worked perfectly for my scenes with him because I was scared of him and Power was scared of his father. So it worked out great. And he was completely committed to it. And I find his performance, particularly he gets beat up by the copper mine sends basically goons to go beat up the striking miners, and he gets beat up and he calls Power from the hospital, and that scene is not a comedy scene. I mean, my lines are totally ridiculous, but like his performance in it is a great dramatic performance. It's really
he's a great actor, man. Totally,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So how's this experience changed you? Maybe as a person, as a filmmaker, the whole Rush connection. Does this, with Neil passing, I mean, does it inspire you to kind of go on and change the course of your vision?
Well, one thing that's happening is that we're re-releasing the movie.
Right.
I mean, of sorts, online, but it's back online. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Vimeo for sale, and we're giving the profits to music cares to support musicians in need during this time. And we've just started a partnership with Modern Drummer where we're going to be bringing actors, drummers, musicians to talk about the movie, to talk about whatever people want to talk about, like this, and then screen the movie live. And so we did it with a band called Lit, a band called Fu Manchu, and Fu Manchu actually had just done a cover of Rush. So
yes. Which song?
Hailstorm. They did Working Man, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I can see. Like,
yeah,
I can't see them doing like Xanadu or probably not.
And so Lit and Hailstorm were on with us last week, and Shoshana Stern, who's in the movie with me, was on it a few weeks ago. So we're going to do these things, and I'm telling people to go to airdrummer.com and sign up. We'll tell you when we have a new show. But we've got some great potential guests lined up, which I can't tell you until they're confirmed. But yeah, I think people want to talk about Neil and they want to laugh and meet other artists, and so it's a great way to basically do that without leaving your house and without breaking quarantine. We can like have a nice rock and roll chat and watch the movie, and fans can comment live and so anyway, that's a beautiful thing that's developed. I mean, obviously, Neil dying is just it's hard to process because he was just way too young and vibrant. So it's hard to it's hard to fully accept that he's not here.
Yeah,
Well,
for everybody.
He was larger than life also. And I don't know, it's like when you get used to the idea that someone is larger than life and then it turns out they're as human as anybody.
Yeah.
Part of why John and I are doing this show in the first place is we were both devastated when Neil passed. And we wanted to do something that, be a good tribute, would help us process what we were feeling. And Donna Halper, who you may or may not, okay. We had her on pretty recently, and she's like, nobody's over it yet. Nobody has recovered yet. Nobody is good with it yet.
The guys from Modern Drummer said the same thing to me. That the guys behind the scenes who are like, and they're talking to a lot of other drummers about maybe doing the show, the AirDrummer.com show with me, and like people are excited about it, but then there's other people who are excited about it who's like, I can't even process yet. And it's we're coming up on a year, and some like major drummers and also drummers who you wouldn't think and then this is sort of whatever private information, so I can't thank you, but there's some drummers who you wouldn't expect to be so connected to Neil, who were super connected to him, different genres of music, people really affected by him, and but I hope everyone has seen the Modern Drummer Festival 2020, which is all about Neil Peart. They just released a 4-hour version of it, and some of the best drummers in the world are on this, playing tributes to him, talking about him, reminiscing. It's really a beautiful thing. So I think I have, if people go to peart.airdrummer.com, peart.airdrummer.com, that goes straight to the page where people can buy this 4 hours.
Do you play drums? It's not air drums, but you play regular drums?
My dirty little secret. I do. I can play drums. I'm not a great drummer. I did play drums. Well, the band I was in, called the Honey Brothers, I played ukulele and keyboards, but there were 2 songs that I always switched to drums. And Neil came to see us play, and he paid me a very big compliment afterwards, which was, he said, when you sat down on the drum set, the energy changed in the room. Oh. So which was really, really amazing.
That must have been nerve-wracking, playing drums in front of Neil Peart, man.
I was drunk by that point.
Okay, then you're fine.
Okay,
that's why the mood changed to the room.
Those in my band, those songs would always be towards the end of the sets.
Yeah,
they'd be like when things are getting kind of like joyfully chaotic in a good way.
Yeah,
the band would start switching instruments, and so usually by that time, and especially that night, I had. Well, should I be advocating this? Anyway, I had a good amount of whiskey.
Sure you should.
So the sober people out there, I understand.
We're sorry that you're sober.
Well, no, we're not. Actually,
it's the holidays, buddy. Drink up the nog. Hey, Ari, are you sort of a? Do your films? Do you vision the future of your films always touching on music in some way?
Well, music is.
Are you like kind of like Cameron Crowe? Cameron Crowe has a certain style of filmmaking that always touches on the soundtrack.
The sound is always the music's always going to be crucial. I mean, my second feature film is called The Song of Sway Lake, and that one is about a kid who played by Rory Culkin, whose father has just died, and he goes back to their family, like beautiful family lake house, to find a lost record from the 1940s. And so all through the movie, they're playing these 1940s jazz songs. So it's a very thick with this nostalgia of music. And then also for that one, my brother, Ethan Gold, he also did a lot of imitation of that style of music. So about half of that soundtrack is real from the 40s and 30s, and then half of it is my brother. So I did, even though Adventures of Power and The Song of Sway Lake are very, very different movies, they're both completely driven by music. And so, and the thing I'm writing right now, which is an action adventure TV show that I hope to have, I hope to have it set up in the next couple months. I've never done that before, but think positive. It's the solstice. We're changing the world right now. There's astrological magic happening. So
there is, man.
Anyway, that is not about music at all, but I have a soundtrack written. I have, close to 900 songs that I've already earmarked for that TV show. Wow. So I each scene, I know what the song is supposed to be and that kind of thing. So yeah.
But you are someone who appreciates a good rock and roll story.
You got one for me?
I do. I'll talk to you after the podcast.
Wait, you don't want to give it to everybody?
Well, no. I mean, it's well. Should I shamelessly plug my book, Dan, or
yes.
what? No, okay,
yes.
I will.
Yes.
Well, my book is called The Last Seat in the House: the story of Hanley Sound, and it's about a kind of a quirky young innovator out of Boston, Massachusetts, an Irish Catholic that. Tinkering in his basement and was sort of introducing this idea of high fidelity sound at a time where no one really gave a shit, and went on to summarize, went on to provide and change how people listen to sound by creating sound systems, live sound reinforcement systems. He ended up at Woodstock providing sound for the Fillmore East. It's a magnificent story. It's my opus. It's about 600 pages, and it needs to be a film. So, I'll send you a copy. The Last Seat in the House, the story of Hanley Sound.
Wait, this is a real person?
This is a real human being. Yes. Oh. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll send you a copy, man.
Okay.
Do you read?
I've read a few books.
Some people they skim,
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't want to throw you.
I do read. I'm writing poetry. I read, but my attention span has been screwed with by a digital world. Totally. I'm aware of that when I have the guts to turn off my phone and my computer and sit in bed and read a book. I can feel myself. Every couple pages, I want to like check something on Wikipedia that I just saw in the book, and it's like, I'm gonna just read the fucking book. But,
this is the story of before Almost Famous becomes Almost Famous. It's the last untold story of rock and roll, I think, in my view. Everything else has already been sort of told. The drugs, the debauchery, the 70s roadie, the cocaine, the all that stuff. It's been done. This is much different. It's the sort of it's the path that happened before rock and roll became rock and roll and actually gave a voice to rock and roll. So
it allowed it to go to 11.
It totally allowed it to go to 11. Yeah, this one gentleman. Dan's written about Bill Hanley in his book as well, but my book is the definitive history on all this. I mean, he did the Stones at Madison Square Garden, the Festival Express, on and on and on, all the big festivals. He's known as the father of festival sound. That's his moniker in the business. So I'll send you a copy. I didn't want to send you a paperweight if you're just some of the
600 pages.
It's it's an academic book, but it's
it may take a little while.
But it's gonna take, you can skim through it. Yeah, you check it out and you'll see. But so far so good. People are really digging it. So we like to end the show with some questions. One is, can you give us? Well, first off, where can people learn more about what you're doing right now?
Well, thank you for asking that. People can follow me at Ari Gold is my name. Ari, ARIGOLD. I'm Ari Gold, just like that, with no other letters, on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to arigoldfilms.com, arigoldfilms.com. If you go to arigold.com, you're going to meet a very different person, which is okay. But it's not me. You can see my films. You can watch Helicopter, which we talked about, is on my website, arigoldfilms.com. I really encourage people to join my mailing list. I'll send you a making of ebook about Adventures of Power, which has pictures, and I'll So yeah, please join my mailing list. That's your bonus. You get that for free. And then I'll let you know what else I'm making.
Cool. Your top 5 Rush albums.
Live albums are allowed. That's my little thing.
Oh man,
Everybody does that.
Oh.
Yeah, every time, 100% of the time. It's
man.
man.
At this point, I'm digital, so like I'll put on just a shuffle. I'll put on a shuffle of random stuff. You know, I mean, Signals and Moving Pictures are probably my favorite. They're the ones I go to the most.
Yeah.
Rio, I mean, I end up listening to Rio a lot. But you know, I mean, I listen to Duran Duran Rio, but I'm also talking about
Yeah.
Rio. Although I'm serious about Duran Duran Rio, it's a great.
Duran Duran have gotten some love on this podcast before.
I like Duran Duran.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I love Duran Duran.
I mean, that album is a masterpiece.
It sure is.
I don't know. I mean, I was listening to their first record a few nights ago just to kind of think about pre-Neil, to think about what he brought to them. I can't say I love that record, but I found it kind of magical to listen to it, actually.
There is a magic in that record.
Yeah. If you pretend that that's the only record, like if there's some other band and that's the only record they ever made, it's a great record. But it's
like listening to Rock-a-Rolla.
It completely changes right after that. So, but for what it is, I think it's a good record.
Yeah.
I mean, how many versions of Der Trommler are out? Do you know how many?
Oh God, I have no idea.
I mean, officially out.
How many live albums are out? So
yeah, right.
I don't know, a lot.
5. I think it's 5, right? 5 Rush live albums is.
I've been recently. I was recently re-listening to Vapor Trails because I had never really gotten into it, and then I decided to like make an active effort.
It's a great album.
Because I think it was one of the Modern Drummer guys. It was his favorite, and so that was.
We love that album on the show.
Yeah,
I mean,
you hit pretty much, with the exception of the debut, you hit all my favorite Rush albums.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. But for Vapor Trails, the original mix or the remix?
I don't know which one I was listening to.
You'll know. Put headphones on. You'll know.
Did it have a white cover or a dark cover?
I'm listening digitally, so it's.
Oh, okay. So we'll never know.
Okay. But
we're geeking out, man.
Yeah, hard.
Which one should I listen to? The remix?
No, the original.
I always liked the original, and it was not until many years later that I heard all these other Rush fans. They were like, "Oh my God, it's too hot. I can't listen to it. It's terrible. They have to remix it." So they remixed it, and it's different. But I don't know. I just felt like
it's tough to get the magic of a mix if something's working.
I felt like something was coming through in the grief, basically, was coming through in the original mix, where it was, it's like, no, it's not a perfect mix. It does have some problems, but I mean, like if you listen to a Stooges record, yes, the production is not 100% there, but something is coming across, and I kind of felt the same way about that. But I can
challenge went in the song of Sway Lake, because my brother composed 2 songs that are key in the movie, that are meant to sound like recordings from the 40s. And to get that sound where the sound is bad, it's not quite right according to our standards now, but not just do the thing of like putting like old music filter on it, and but actually to kind of think about why sonically those records from the 1940s are so wonderful to listen to. Having the technology not be quite, quote, right or perfect is one of the key kind of like Ghost in the Machine magic things about a mix. So, and it's very hard to retroactively do it, because if it happens, you know, a good mixing board, an analog mixing board especially, would, you know, on certain days you know, the tubes would be different,
Right.
and you couldn't do it the same on a different day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Ari, man, I can't thank you enough for participating and sharing your story. It's a wonderful story. And
I love your guys' passion, and I think it's beautiful we're doing this on such an auspicious day. You know, this is a day. I'm not a big astrology person, but there's enough people in my life who are saying this. But this is a day that we can look into our hearts and reset ourselves for the future, and reset ourselves to living in a more open, pure, and loving way. And so it's important that we all do this. So everyone who's listening, I hope you take this moment to go outside and connect with the stars, and with your hearts, and with the earth, and be the conduit between those things.
ladies and gentlemen, Ari Gold. Cue applause.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Or do you go by your last name?
I professionally, I go by Daniel, but
Yeah.
my friends call me Dan, and that's how I can tell who wants something from me or not. Because
So
if they call me Daniel, they want something.
Okay. Then I'll just-
Call me Dan. Call me
All right,
Dan.
Dan and John, thank you so much.
Sure,
Please put links all over this.
I will.
Post it
I
so
will.
that people, because no one remembers anything, as myself included.
Ari Gold, he was cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. Absolutely.
It looked like the cover of Hotel California outside.
It did, as it was like sort of getting gradually darker the whole time too. That was, I don't know, I thought that was just a really cool effect for the whole thing. Although people who are just listening will not know that happened, but
I kind of wish I was there, smoking what he had and chilling out by the Malibu sunset, man.
It's not terrible, I got to say. It's not it's not bad right now.
It's not. Well, our show continues on. This is a mammoth show. It's our International Rush Day show, a holiday special, 2112, sort of like, you know, Carol Burnett meets Dinah Shore meets.
It's like the Star Wars holiday special.
I know. That was. I remember. It was Chewbacca. The family was the cartoon.
Yeah, for Life Day. They had to go back to the Wookiee planet for Life Day. Yeah.
Did you have the Star Wars Christmas album? I had that.
I had everything. I had all they had to do was put the word Star Wars on it, and I would buy it, no matter what it was. They could have made a Star Wars dildo, and I would have bought it when I was 8.
Do you still have your Star Wars stuff?
It's all gone. And it was not my decision.
Wait, let's not start blaming the folks. Let's not go there. This isn't a therapy show.
It's not necessary to, apparently, because I think you figured out exactly what happened.
I hate you, Mom and Dad.
No, they made me the man I am today. So.
An angry fucking
a very angry Jew. They made me an angry Jew. Yeah.
Oh my God, Mr. and Mrs. Bukszpan, I hope you're not listening to this. Anyway,
no, they're not. So.
All right. Well, our next guest is a returning guest, Brent Carpenter, Rush monitor engineer, and his partner in crime, Libby Gray. Libby works with Styx, the band Styx, and Brent's going to come on and chat about his history with Rush and their involvement with the amazing new cookbook, Pieces of 8, ATE. Ooh, delicious.
I get it.
The Styx crew is proud to announce that they just finished work on their cookbook order on, you can order this on StyxWorld.com. All proceeds will go directly to the Styx crew and their families. The cookbook is 75 plus pages, filled with hand-picked recipes, fun facts, and personal photos taken by the crew. They're also releasing a limited number of crew guitar picks personally designed by each member. The first 100 cookbooks purchase will include one limited edition Styx crew member guitar pick. There'll also be a limited number of complete sets of crew guitar picks available for purchase. Anything we can do to support the live event industry. Brent is a great friend of the show. He listens all the time. He's a legend. He was, he's the guy, right? Working with Brad Maddox and making Rush sound really good. So I want to introduce Brent and Libby to the show. So here they are. Brent Carpenter.
Hey, John, how are you, buddy?
Libby, how are you?
Very well. And yourself?
Doing all right. Surviving COVID, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm in my cave. We're all in our caves.
Yes, sir, we are. Hey, Dan, how are you?
I am well. Welcome back to the madness.
Well, thank you.
How are you guys?
Hi, guys.
Good. How are you doing? What's
hanging out there?
What's shaking?
Cooking new recipes.
Well, I was talking to Brent, was on our show prior for our Behind the Lighted Stage episode, where we kind of dig deep into Rush live production. And we've had a number of shows. Brad Maddox was just on our show, which was awesome. And his episode is up now. And Brent and I were chatting about just the industry and industry stuff, and anything we could do on Two Guys Talking Rush to support those who have been affected by COVID-19 in the live event industry, we'll do it. I mean, no questions asked. We can make Rush and Styx connections all day. They're there.
Absolutely.
We'll dig deep, man. We'll dig deep, So I gave a little bit of an intro on your new cookbook, and Brent, why don't you give a little remind the folks listening what your history is with Rush, and Libby, what you do on the Styx crew and your history in the industry, and take it away. This is your piece.
Okay. Well, I was a kind of a journeyman monitor guy at the time in 2002 when my good buddy Brad Maddox called me, and I called him. He had just gotten the Rush gig, and I called him and was congratulating him on getting the Rush job, because everybody knew that it was one of the best best bands, best jobs in rock and roll. And apparently I was his, I was his choice for being the monitor guy, and he stood up for me. And we spent the next 14 years, antagonizing each other from other ends of the snake, as we say. And he's become a lifelong friend, one of my BFFs, as the kids would say. And I got nothing but good things to say about him. And I worked for the.
Which is funny, because he says such terrible things about you.
Oh, you should have heard what he said, but we won't go there.
We had to cut a lot of stuff out. It was ugly.
I spent 3 days editing all that, so I don't.
So I worked for the guys from 2002 until the very end in 2015. Was lucky enough to get called back 8 times, and I miss him dearly.
Yeah.
The big guy being gone is especially hard right now, and with the world being what the world is right now, doesn't help.
Yeah.
Being stuck. I'm lucky that I love where I live. I love the town I live in. I like the person that I've chosen to make my life with a whole lot. And the fact is that this is the absolute best version of the worst of times, if you will.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
what is going on in the production world? I mean, aside from nothing, what do you see happening? How do you see this all rolling out, unfolding? Libby, maybe you could chime in on it, or.
We were having a conversation today about that. The Styx organization holds regular scheduled Zooms, band and crew, organization-wide. And it's one of the ways we keep in very close contact. It's a very tight organization. And just today we were discussing how there are issues with bigger productions getting their feet under them. It was announced, for example, that Leopard and crew have had to push till 2022.
Wow.
Because the problem is that since they're doing a stadium tour with umpteen buses and umpteen trucks and huge production values, it's going to be very hard to get that together, to commit the budgets, to build those systems on a soft start date. So they actually need, for budgeting purposes, a hard guaranteed start date for a stadium tour. And this is going to be a problem that a lot of bigger artists face. Styx is kind of lucky because we're sort of a niche band. I mean, we can do respectable business in the bigger amphitheaters all summer, but then all winter we're in theaters and casinos and performing arts centers, and spaces like that will be sooner to open. They're manageable environments. Some of those city parks Well, you're not going to get Def Leppard in a little town city park outside Birmingham, but you can have Styx, and you can manage the crowd and the size and the spacing. So things we're optimistic that because smaller venues, outdoors in particular, are likely to be the first venues that can make the money work to open their doors, because let's face it, lots of places just can't pay the nut at half capacity. We like the fact that our market, it's going to be a good market for us. It's where we live anyway, and we're very lucky that may be one of the first things that reopens.
Do you want to even take a guess at maybe when? Sorry?
My gut tells me, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. My gut tells me very late spring.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I'm hearing, just especially now that the vaccine is coming out, like people are starting to go, okay, maybe late spring, early summer, you're going to start to see some things come back. That's great for someone who's just a fan, but for someone who makes their living this way, that's a long, long time. And there's been a lot of hard time already behind you. What are you doing to survive, basically? How are you getting through right now?
Well, we both had pretty darn good years in 2019, and we're manic savers because we're used to working our asses off for 7.5 months a year and having 4 or 5 months a year where we're home.
Well, that's him. Styx works 12 months a year.
Right.
But the point is, it didn't cripple us right out of the gate the way it did some crews that are really hand to mouth. But at this point, it's really hard on everybody. Sure. So Brent is driving.
I'm currently I'm what's called a PVD driver, personal vehicle driver for UPS.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to do what you got to do, right?
Exactly. You do what you got to do to keep the money rolling in, definitely.
My industrious wife here makes, she's a woodworker, and there's a British gambling game called Shut the Box, which is a box. It's about yay big, looks like an old cigar box, and it's got tiles in it, and they're numbered 1 to 9, and you roll dice. Everybody throws in a buck, and whoever wins that round keeps the money. So she's been making those with exotic woods and fancy woods and selling those.
Nice.
And she.
Yeah, my gimmick is that on the back of the tiles, I carve anything that people want. So one guy wanted a box that had the Cowboys logo on the back of it, and somebody else wants their kids' names or their grandparents' names or their favorite band name. One of the fans wanted Gowan's song Stonewall carved on the back. So I do these things. They're all handmade. Right. And our market that knows me, because they're fans of music, they tend to be fans of good wood, either for drums or guitars. This is an audience and a market that really appreciates handwork and actually recognizes good wood from bad. Right. So I had an advantage. So yeah, I've been making these games for months and months and months now, and God love everybody who's wanted to buy a Shut the Box game.
That's awesome. Libby, what did you do for Styx? What was your role on the Styx production crew?
I am the lighting director, and as everyone in production knows, the role of director has morphed into designer, because now up to 50 or 60% of the time, if you're walking into a house of blues or a casino, you have to use their house rig. So I'm on the ground, boots on the ground designer. The only hesitation I say there is we have the inestimable Jeff Ravitz as the executive designer for Styx. He was their designer since 1974, I believe.
Wow.
But at this point, he has handed the entire thing off to me. So occasionally, we're lucky to do a very big tour in arenas where we may carry production, and Jeff will step back in, and he and I will construct a show together, and I will function as director. But on a given year, like all of last year, I'm designer as well as director for the band. So I'm calling the spots, I'm running the show, I write and run our video cues on an LED wall on the set. I try to keep the band amused and convince them that I'm actually earning my bologna sandwiches. So
now she says this, but I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
Now, and I know you had a long discussion with Brad, and Brad and I look at things a lot of the same way. There's this whole mic test thing we did, which would be boring as hell for most people, but what she does during their show, because they're not carrying their full lighting rig and they're not always carrying a video wall. They carry some video elements on their set. So she's got her console that she carries. And about as often as not, when she goes into a local house, she also has to use the house console to, oh, well, those aren't DMXable. They can't jump, whatever. She has to use their console as well. Plus, she's using her laptop to run her video queue on her set wall. Plus, she's calling as many as 10 spotlights at the same time. And she doesn't group her spots. So everybody is an individual. 1, 6, and 4, get ready to go black and go. And 2, 4, and 8, get ready to come up on your home targets and go. And I've listened to her spot call, and she's friends with the director of NASA, and the director of NASA was wowed by it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I paid Brent to say all that. No, seriously, it was a great. I've worked really hard to make spot calling a specialty. It's one of the few pure analog things left in the world, because Stix is not big enough to carry one of the computerized follow spot control systems.
Right.
So I've done it for years, and I learned to do it with 12 and 15 follow spots for ice skating shows decades ago.
Wow.
So calling 6 spots for a rock show, frankly, I can do in my sleep. But one of the greatest compliments I ever got was my director friend from NASA. Apparently, they say this with no irony. He listens to the whole show that I'm calling on cans, which, first of all, I don't know why anyone would want that, but apparently the NASA guys love this. He pulls his headsets off, he looks me dead in the eyes and says, "You are a steely-eyed missile man." Apparently, that is a real compliment to this day in NASA. There's no irony there.
It sounds it. Oh my God! Did you ever work on with the Rush crew before, Libby? I mean, did you guys ever cross paths in some way?
Well, there's so much, as you alluded. There's so much cross-pollination between Stix and Rush that it's kind of a wonder that I never did anything for Rush, but. For a million years, I slept across the street in the bunks from Jimmy Johnson, who we all know his history with Rush and then Stix. And Lawrence Gowan's lighting was handed off between Howard Ungerleider and myself. And
Gowan was managed by Ray and the guys at SRO, same as Rush.
Yeah, so Stix albums were done by Hugh Syme.
Hugh Syme did some of the graphics for the Stix records.
So the pollination goes back and forth and back and forth. But my favorite moment probably was going to be when we were on tour at the same time as Rush, and we were crossing paths in Chicago. I believe we were playing The World, Tinley Park, the day after them. And this would have been Snakes and Arrows, I think. I think it was Snakes and Arrows. And of course, because of Jimmy and me, we all got the big invitation. Hey, if you guys can come down to the show. So we brought our tour bus. And we arrived kind of late. The show was about to start. And there was a lot of chaos in the parking lot because there are 10,000 cars in the parking lot and people streaming into Tinley Park. And we show up like knuckleheads with a tour bus, which is no longer capable of driving through a packed parking lot. Right. And so we get this cordon of security guards that Rush's camp dispatches out to escort our bus bodily in through the cars. Much ado, we throw open the big gates so the Stix bus can pull in next to Neil's bus and park backstage. And they just rolled out the red carpet. So everyone in the parking lot was like, well, who the hell's showing up in a tour bus 3 minutes before the show? And it was us. And we were treated as guests of honor by their camp. And it was a really good time. Really fun night.
That's amazing. Did Stix ever open for Rush back in the day, like in the 70s? That must have played some shows together.
Did.
Oh, yeah.
They did. We have actually, I've investigated this as far back as I can. I actually tried to find one. They did some festivals together.
Okay.
And I've tried and tried. When Rush was still active and she was working for Stix, or as she is now, I mean, it's not used to be.
Yeah.
I actually tried to find one of the old posters.
Yeah.
I called Peggy, I called Ray, because they've always been real open with us being able to, And they're like, do you remember doing the day on the Jam Fest at
Winnipeg?
in Who Gives a Crap, Colorado, in one day, July 7th, 1979. And she's like, no, don't remember that. I tried because I was going to find one of those posters and get it signed by both bands.
Yeah. Wow, that would have been great.
Been pretty cool. But no, never. They did. I don't think they ever toured together, but they did do shows together.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they should have toured together in some way, but
it would make sense, certain stylistically and all that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, everyone can't all do it at the same time.
Yeah, great. Stylistically, I completely agree because they both, especially in the late 70s, Styx had pushed into the prog rock world.
Right.
But you got to remember, they came out with those 4 records: Pieces of Eight, Cornerstone.
Oh, they were huge. It was
Illusion.
Illusion, Pieces of Eight, Cornerstone, and maybe Equinox was the first one. I don't remember, but they had 4 multi-platinums in a row.
Yeah. I mean, they were selling multi-platinum way before Rush was.
Rush, that's right.
Well, Pieces of Eight was one of the first records I ever bought with my own allowance.
It's still a great album.
It is.
Isn't it? It holds up so well.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff from that time period still holds up. It was when we get into the 80s that perhaps some problems arose. Let's say that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, my God, I mean, if you could have seen, those bands on a bill together, I saw some footage of this thing that Black Oak, Arkansas did in North Carolina to like 300,000 people or something like that. And there were a lot of bands that day. So I imagine certainly, Rush and Styx shared a lot of that kind of space. But yeah, no, it would have been great if it had just been the 2 of them on tour for Pieces of Eight and Hemispheres. That would have been brilliant.
Would have been tremendous. Would have been really great.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I do remember, because I really, I think I alluded to this on the last time we talked. Getty and I actually became pretty close. And we would go to dinner once a leg, a group of us would. And I always wanted to find out information without asking the question that every other rock and roll journalist asked.
Sure.
Right? And one of the things I asked was that, think back to when you guys were still, you weren't who you are now, pre-moving pictures. Who were the favorite bands to tour with? And of course, we all know, their association with Kiss is legendary. But Ged became really, really close with the guys in Thin Lizzy.
Right.
Huh. And they had done, and I never really thought about it, they did a lot of shows with Thin Lizzy.
They did.
And I happen to be a huge Thin Lizzy fan.
Big time.
With good reason.
Yeah, definitely with good reason.
I still consider them to be the most underrated hard rock band of all time.
Definitely.
Oh, big time. So, yeah. Well, I love Iron Maiden. You can see the Maiden and Thin Lizzy connections big time.
Yeah, absolutely. The twin guitars.
Oh, big time.
I like Priest. If we're going to go to really hard rock, I like Priest.
I do too.
That's also with the twin guitars. So, yeah.
But a friend of mine gave me tickets to Styx, Def Leppard, and Tesla. It was like 2 summers or 3 summers ago, and it was wonderful. It was 3 summers ago at not Great Woods. I forget, they changed the names of these sheds so many I can't keep track, but it was in Massachusetts, in the woods down there, and
the Pavilion, probably.
Pavilion, yeah. I forget what they call it now. It used to be the Tweeter Center and Great Woods and blah blah blah.
It's Great Woods. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that was
Massachusetts.
Exactly. That was a great show. It sounded great. It looked great. Everybody was on point. I missed Tesla. I wanted to see Tesla, but I know. But I want to get into the Pieces of Eight cookbook. How did this come about? What's it all mean? What are you trying to do? And let's dig into it and go for it.
Well, we were, as you mentioned, everybody's been struggling. Every crew everywhere has been struggling. There have been some well-publicized efforts to help everyone that fell short. Music Cares ran out of money about 150 times. Every week they'd get a little more and then they'd run out again. Save Our Stages was running out of money left and right. I know more people who were declined for those little grants than could get them because they kept running out of money.
What about the Live Nation one? Yeah, Crew Nation. What about the Crew Nation?
When I went to apply, they were no longer accepting applications. Now, I don't know if that's because they ran out of money, which seems unlikely, or maybe the war chest for that particular thing was depleted, or maybe they ran out of processing time. Someone has to process all the applications. But there's been a limited help. People have the best of intentions, and the one group that can't help is the fans. And the fans have been awesome. They love us. I'm sure when I say us, I'm talking about any number of long-term bands with long-term stable crews. The newest guy on the Styx crew's been there, I want to say, for 13 years.
Wow.
So the fans know us. They know our names. They wave signs at us in the audience. They know who we are. They stalk us on Facebook, and I mean that in the best kind of way. In fact, there is a Facebook page dedicated to fans of the crew of the band Styx.
Nice.
I mean, this is a real thing with like hundreds of people who are constantly posting pictures they take of the crew during the show.
Awesome.
And of course, it's because they love the band. It's not because of us. We are a reflection of the band, but they appreciate that the band can't do the magic they do without us. Right. So it's just an acknowledgement that we are essential cogs in the works. And audiences, I don't need to tell you guys, are very sophisticated these days. They're not stupid. They know everybody isn't a stoner high school dropout. They know these are people with degrees who are running computers and technology and radio frequencies and little robotics lights. And they really get that crew members are specialists and they want to help. But how do you help crew guys, right? So some of the organizations, we didn't start this, started putting out swag that the fans could buy on the band's website. Foreigner did it very successfully, I know.
Disturbed did it.
Disturbed did it. And Styx picked up on that and put together a shirt. It just said Styx Crew, but 100% of the proceeds went to the crew. On the heels of that, which is a really targeted thing, one of the crew guys said, what if we did a cookbook? Now, why a cookbook? Well, A, roadies eat like hogs. We all know this. And if you like to eat a lot, you probably know how to cook. And it's probably not news to you that most roadies can cook. The ones who can't are few and far between. Yeah. So we started putting together an idea. And one of the things that's kind of fun about our crew is we have an unusual ethnic diversity. Now, that is not to say we're fully representative, but the last names on our crew are, among other things, McElhenney, who's Irish, Heinz and Hoff, who are German, Gray, me, I'm half Jewish. We have Compton, who is Creole, Carrizo, who's Italian, Wong is Chinese, McElhenney's Polish, and I don't know what the hell Vandelke, and I don't know what Skaggs is. So right there, you start thinking about a cookbook. We've got Chinese, Polish, Irish, German, Anglo-Jewish, Creole, straight Southern, and Italian recipes.
Wow.
So we knew we should capitalize on the one thing we have, which is a lot of ethnic diversity.
Yeah.
So the Styx Crew Pieces of 8 cookbook came about. It's a print-on-demand cookbook. We have sold in excess of 1,200 copies so far. It is available for sale on styxworld.com. And as always, the band has been very generous and allowed us to use their digital platform and merchandising store to sell the cookbook for free. So that's not costing us anything. So if anybody buys this cookbook, 100% of the profit is divided exactly 10 ways among the crew. Cool. There's no overhead except for actually printing the books and shipping them. Cool. So we've got a good 70 or 80 recipes, and it's really not like any other cookbook I think anybody's put together, because sure, it's got sections, soup and desserts and mains.
Sure.
But one page you look at and it is, what is it? Sticky garlic tofu with soba noodles. And the next page is peanut butter BLT. And the next page will be Italian scampi, and
Nice.
then there'll be Appalachian soup beans.
Nice.
So, yeah, matzo ball soup is in the page next to zuppa toscana. So
Who's responsible for the peanut butter BLT?
that is Jeff Heinz. He's from Minnesota, so we just give him a pass on that.
Okay,
either he's from Minnesota or he's in jail for a number of years.
No, I mean, I'm 51 years old. This is the first time I was today years old when I learned that that's a thing. So
it's awesome too.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the kind of thing like fried Oreos.
Sounds like a lot of this. Then you do that.
Oh yeah.
No, funny enough, my previous family, they did it. It's a German thing. It's a German Lutheran thing.
Oh, which is probably why Heinz in Minnesota, contributes that. But there are a lot of fun recipes and some surprises. The pages that are dividers between the chapters are collages of pictures from the crew's private collection. So there are pictures of the band and pictures of us and pictures of the crew getting drunk at Jackson National Park in Canada.
Oh, wait, imbibing. Can we say drunk?
So imbibing.
Can we say drunk on whatever this is?
Oh, and there are boozies in the book. There are boozies.
We don't judge. We don't judge.
Yeah, no judgment here, man.
There's a page on whatever everybody's favorite bus food is. You know, the fourth essential meal of the day.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of nonsense that you don't see. There are bios of the crew. And so this is really a thing that we're doing to try and add value for the fans who really, at the heart of it, are just looking for a way to help us because we're in the same production boat as everybody else. And they want to help us so they can just flat out give us $20. And we want to give them a view, both legitimate recipes, but also a view backstage of their favorite band and crew that they may never have seen.
Does the band have any recipes in it?
No.
Okay, just crew, straight up. And what's your recipe, Libby? What's yours?
She has a couple in there.
Okay.
I put in matzo ball soup from my grandma Maddie. Mandelbrot, which is a German-Jewish loaf of chocolate chip cookie.
Sounds good to me.
I have zucchini boats in there, cheesy stuffed zucchini boats, which, by the way, the page after mine, I'm going to point this out in the cookbook. There's a recipe that says Libby's cheesy stuffed zucchini boats. And the next page says Brian's better than Libby's stuffed zucchini boats. This is a typo. There is no way that his zucchini boats are better than mine.
Nope.
And he got to put this in the cookbook because he was the editor. When I found out about it, I came unglued. And he's like, well, it's on the cookbook. What are you going to do about it? I said, I'm going to go on a podcast, bitch.
There you go.
Oh my God, it's international now. We got a lot of downloads going everywhere. So
we're gonna talk about some zucchini boat recipes, brother.
Oh my God! So, all right, tell folks where they can find this, how they can find it, what they need to do, and all that.
All you have to do is go to sticksworld.com, and in shop merchandise, right on the front is a picture of Pieces of 8. It looks exactly like the Pieces of 8 album, only more fun. And you can click on it and you can buy it right at the site. And at this time, if you ordered it today, I believe it'll get to you in a couple weeks in January, because obviously we all know shipping's jacked. This is 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, not happening for Christmas.
Yeah, nothing's happening for Christmas. It's probably not even happening the first week or two of January, because you know it takes forever for the post office to catch up. But
not UPS.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's a fun cookbook, and I think everyone who's gotten it so far will enjoy it. And I think there are also a very limited number, maybe 10 sets available of the crew guitar picks.
Cool.
We did one very special thing. Everyone on the crew designed their own pick. Now, a lot of bands do this all the time with their crew. We have never done this. So everybody designed their own pick, and we printed some up, and there are exactly 100 sets of all 10, or maybe it's 12 crew picks that can be ordered online. And I think there are 10 left. And when they're gone, there will never be any more. So you can also, we have people who really want to help us out, and they have bought a set of crew picks. Cool.
Well, anything else you'd like to plug? This is your opportunity to kind of say it now or forever hold your peace. But anything you'd like to say as we wrap up?
I would like to tell one funny story, and don't give me a hard time. I'm going to tell the sound check story. I'm telling the story, and there's nothing you can do.
We want to hear it. We want to hear it.
This is a good story, actually.
So this is an example of, there's a lot of trust between a band and their crew. and you can't breach the trust and you can't abuse it. Because the band goes where you tell them to. When I tell Tommy to stand in this corner and start a song and you must be right here or you will be in the dark, he has to do it and he doesn't know why, but he always will.
Right.
So you try to never abuse that trust. So this all said, I go single to one of the many, many, many Rush shows I saw, and it's Soundcheck. I was on tour, we cross paths. Brent and I have a thing, we see each other every month on tour, and I show up, and I'm hoping they're gonna play Manhattan Project, which is my personal favorite
I love that
Rush song because I'm a very weird geek about the physics of nuclear weapons.
Sure.
A little off topic, but I have a whole library on this.
Interesting.
And the song speaks to me.
Yeah.
So I show up at stage left, the band is already on stage playing, and we're in an arena. And Brent says, sorry, baby, we're doing the B set list today, and Manhattan Project is on the C. They're not playing it. Disappointed. Fine, whatever. I'll just listen to, Limelight and whatever again.
Yeah.
So he's working, the band's working. Now, the guys wave at me, they know me. But to be respectful, I retreat up into the seats, about 10 rows up into the seats, exactly stage left behind Brent's desk. So I'm out of sight line because this is their work time.
Right.
And I get to the end of sound check, and Brent keys his mic, his talkback mic, and I hear him say, okay, we're almost done here, fellas, but I made a couple of changes since last night, and just to check my settings, I need you to run Manhattan Project for me. And he turns around, looks over his shoulder up at me in the stands, and gives me the biggest shit-eating grin as the band goes into it. So,
that's amazing.
Without ever knowing it, they played a command performance of Manhattan Project for me.
That's hilarious. Would you have revealed that before the podcast? I mean, is that something?
No.
There are a very select few people that know that story.
Jimmy,
That's a
I
good
didn't
one.
tell that story to Jimmy Johnson because I know he would have dropped a dime on me to Neil. The first time this story has broken in the air, and Alex and Ged, sorry.
I'm sure it was effortless. I mean, come on, that song's.
It was actually. The year we did Manhattan Project was with the string. It was the second leg with the strings.
Clockwork Angels, yeah.
Clockwork Angels with the string guys. So, sound checks had gone from being 3 people to being, 11 or 12, depending on what year it was with strings. So after they were done, those guys, when they sound checked, we always ended with the first song of the night. That way your console is set up for the first song.
Yep.
And so I had to catch them, and I think our first song that year was Subdivisions. So it was like, okay, we're done with the going to the Moog, and the only song that had the Moog in it was Tom. So they do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Tom. Okay, now everybody breaks down. It's like, guys, I really need to check Manhattan.
That's hilarious. That's
another one of those forgettable B-sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming here. And anytime you need help or need to get the word out on something, Brent, just let me know. And you're always welcome on Two Guys Talking Rush. Both you guys are. Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Thank you so much. And
of course.
On behalf of the Styx crew, thank you very much for letting us share our efforts with everybody out there. You guys are awesome.
We love all crew people,
Yeah.
And there's no question about. I mean, it's the production people who make bands like Styx and Rush shine and enable them to do what they do without thinking about all the other stuff, So
well,
we hope
I'm gonna toot you guys just a little bit and say thank you because of the stuff of yours I've listened to. I really respect that you're not looking for the salacious details of the stupidness that you see in too many rock and roll autobiographies. And I've read most of them. Trust me. You want the details, you want the facts, but you're not trying to find the embarrassing parts. And I really respect that. And John, I specifically want to thank you for the book and all the little paraphernalias you sent me. That was really cool. And the signed poster from yourself. And your guy there.
Yep.
I want to thank you so much for sending me that stuff.
Of course, man. Yeah, totally, dude.
And you get a juicy story about Soundcheck anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff, how are you, brother?
Awesome. How you doing?
We're segueing into into our superfan spotlight right now. We just left Brent Carpenter, who is the former monitor mixing engineer for Rush, and
Awesome.
we're ending our show this evening, which has been going on for almost 3 hours, with a superfan spotlight. And we put a call out to Rush collectors, Rush fans, true Rush fans. And we want to talk to you and discuss your passion for Rush, and maybe you could show us some of your wares and tell us who you are and what you got and what you're doing.
Absolutely, John. I'm deeply honored. And normally I'd be at the Cincinnati Bengals Monday night game. I actually went down there and put up a banner. I put up large banners at each game, but came home for the more important event, which is you guys. I love you guys. And so I'm deeply honored. And, people have often asked me, are you a bigger Rush fan or Bengals fan? Obviously, Rush, they've never let me down. That's all the Bengals have ever done.
That's funny. So how did you get into Rush? Like, where are you from, and how'd you get into the band?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was with a good friend at the time, John Cooney. I have no idea where he is today, but he was a big Kiss fan. And so he was a great artist, too. He did colored chalk portraits of Kiss. And so we were listening to Kiss one day back in the day in Delhi Hills, Ohio, 1976. And he put on 2112 and said, you got to hear this band. And right away, I was just totally captivated, mesmerized, the most magnetic sound I've ever heard. And Geddy's voice included. I mean, just absolutely blew my mind from the moment I heard him. Opened up the album cover, and the first thing I said to John was, where's the rest of the band? He said, that is the band. And so that began a pretty much
a love affair.
I'm 56, and yeah, so I was 12 at the time, and I just was fascinated then, and each day I'm fascinated. Rush is absolutely one of my favorite things about life itself, and they have been for my entire life, basically since I was 12. My kid, I mentioned to you guys as you were kind of recruiting, he started loving me, get in the car. I was coaching him when he was 6. He'd get in the car and say, Daddy, turn on Rush. At the time, I had 6 discs in my car, all Rush. And, we'd listen to Rush. And at the time, it was Vapor Trails, 2002. He became, immediately the same way I was at age 12. He was at age 6. And we've seen him together, front row 4 times. I've seen him front row total 6 times, and up in the 30s, up front, not front row, but, there's just nothing, in my opinion, they're the 3 greatest talents in any walk of life. They don't compute with me. They never will. I'll take them to my grave.
Nice. So, the call out for Two Guys Talking Rush for this episode was for Rush collectors.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned you have a very modest T-shirt collection. Tell us about your collection and why you collect Rush.
Yeah, my wardrobe's pretty much Rush, and I will show it to you guys.
All right.
I moved my T-shirts down from my closet downstairs, so I'll give you a peek.
Yeah.
I mean, I should show you this. I mean, I'm in my office. A lot of what I have here is family, the Bengals, but there's a lot of Rush in here too. And if you look at the ceiling.
Whoa.
Nice.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Nice.
So for the podcast listeners, we are recording live. We're looking at a ceiling that's covered in Rush paraphernalia. We got posters, we got albums, we got what else we have? We have shots, live shots.
Yeah,
Nice.
lots of that.
How'd you get up there? You break your neck.
That's
Basically, what I did was just got on a ladder. I put push pins in the middle of the records. So I'll just kind of.
You're like the Michelangelo of Rush.
yes. Exactly.
These are all Rush discs.
Oh wow, nice. I love Dan. This is why I love this show.
Yeah.
We're in your home. We're looking at Rush bobbleheads. We're looking at look at that office. It's awesome.
But I also, I make these collages.
Yeah. Now take us into your refrigerator. I want to see what you had for lunch. I mean, no, this is great.
That's the Bengals refrigerator.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ah,
Look at this.
okay.
This is great.
But there's Rush everywhere. I mean, you know,
There
it's
really
such
is.
a giant part of my life.
I love it.
So I brought the
Nice. This is
Good
great.
Lord.
This is awesome.
Wow.
Wow, man. You
So
got
man,
a lot of. How
I
many
appreciate-
Rush shirts do you have? How many do you have, you think?
so it's funny. My wife, you know, over Thanksgiving, my family was giving me some guff about my Rush wardrobe and asked how many Rush T-shirts I had, and I said, you know I've got over 100 total Rush articles, mostly tees, but also sweatshirts, long sleeve T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, caps, socks, bracelets,
Nice.
you name it. So
Pants? Do you have Rush pants?
I have Rush underwear. I
Hold
don't
those
recall
back
having
one
any
second.
Rush pants. No.
Hold those up for the audience. No, that's hilarious. So with your Rush T-shirts, are there any old ones, or are they all sort of newish ones? Do you have favorites or what?
So on the tees, you know, they go way back.
Yeah.
You know, you do have classics.
Yeah.
Digging down in here a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, man. Show us.
This is a true classic, and beneath it another classic. So you can see this one's had some wear on it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
And this is an old Caressa steel.
Oh, wow.
wow.
That is an old Caressa steel.
Now
Wow.
this is one of my favorites just because I was front row for R40 in Toronto, right in front of
Oh,
Getty
wow.
Nice.
with my kid. Look at the sleeves on this. This is a hell of a garment. The sleeves actually
Dad.
show the, bear with me.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
They show the record. So Clockwork Angels, Roll the Bones. I'm sorry, Snakes and Arrows, Roll the Bones, Clockwork Angels, and Grace Under Pressure. And then on this side, Presto with 2112 counterparts and Test for Echo.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Now, you said you went to that show with your son?
Yeah, you know, that was their final show.
Oh, wow.
That was their final show in Toronto. And it was at the Air Canada Center.
Mhm.
And so we were front row right in front of Getty, and we're actually immortalized in both R40 and Time Stand Still. So there's a RushCon shot where I actually do the Man and the Star at Time Stand Still. We're back chatting
cool.
with other Rush fans. The Rush fans, I mean, they're like you guys, right? I mean, have you ever met a Rush fan that is anything but kind and polite and courteous and awesome?
Totally.
No, never.
Yeah,
They're all, every single one of them literally has been great.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
an immediate
we've-
bond.
Yeah.
Right?
Immediate bond, yeah. Especially with T-shirts. If I ever see a Rush, if I ever see someone outside in public with a Rush T-shirt, I'll say, "Okay, how many times you see them? What's your favorite album?" You know, the conversation goes on and on and on. But wow, how many T-shirts do you think you have, Jeff?
So because I was asked to clean out my closet, I counted exactly 75.
Wow.
And then, you know, with the sweatshirts and the long sleeve tees and, you know,
Are you still buying, or have you stopped?
oh my gosh, you know, every time a Rush.com box, you know, from their backstage club shows up on the doorstep, I know it's going to be hell to pay with my wife. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, you're a lifer. The question of you not doing this is that, like, that's not even up for debate. You know perfectly well that anything you're on board, no matter what
Like
it
you
is.
guys. Like
Yes,
you guys. I mean,
right, exactly.
what a tremendous cause. What a great decision to take your passion that's lifelong and to take it all the way to the end. I mean,
Yeah,
totally,
you know, Rush is forever. They're absolutely timeless.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you know, they are universes in front of any rock band in terms of the talent, the music, the people, the guys they are. I mean, the personalities. I mean, they fascinate me with their excellence and brilliance. They're the closest thing to perfection I've ever seen in my life. And a distant second, in my opinion, would be the Beatles. Then I like Talking Heads,
Yeah.
U2, Led Zeppelin, but Rush is so far out in front, their universe is in front.
I would agree with a lot of that, actually.
I love every single note of every song, and I hear songs for the, many thousands of times, and I'll still get full body chills.
Yeah.
Now, you tell me anything else in your life
Yeah.
that will give you that kind of reaction over and over and over again. They deliver every single time.
Jeff, we should have you on the show every week, buddy.
Hey, you know what? Well, I got you. Let me, I'll show you a couple other things. This actually,
Right.
there's a lot in here too.
Oh, wow. This is awesome. So is this like your man cave, man? This like area?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite shots ever.
Wow,
right?
that's a good one.
Oh, nice.
Front row there.
Nice.
I make these collages.
Oh,
This
those
is
are great.
me with my kid. This is actually, I would take photos with a throwaway camera, and they'd laugh about my flash. And here they are. They're actually, we're in the front pretty often, and we had met them. We met them.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And we gave them letters. And so here they are actually talking about us after seeing, that's my flash and Getty's lenses.
Oh my God.
This is them talking about us. And Mitchell said, Dad, they're talking about us. I said, it's better than that, buddy. I got a shot of it. So here we are for that one.
Nice.
So, I would take shots and then ultimately would make these collages for all the shows we saw. That's his first one when he was 7.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's really great, man. Look this is why I do this show. And
Right.
this is why Dan does the show. For people like you, Jeff, who just are passionate about this band, who it involves your family. It's not even just like
Right.
you're some groupie, and you're traveling around. Like you're framing stuff. It's decorating your house. It's sort of like embodies you. It's pretty incredible, I think.
Yeah.
That's that show I was talking about.
Wow. Cool.
Oh, okay. Is your son into them as much as you are, or?
Oh my gosh. I mean, he's actually better with lyrics than I am.
Oh, okay. How old is he?
He's now 23.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
started when he was 6. I got to show you one more thing. So
Yeah.
you go to
you got a drum set in the dining room?
you go to the garage.
Your wife is in Rush prison.
Literally.
Let me out! Let me out!
You want to interview her?
You're not the man you used to be when you listen to Simon and Garfunkel when I first
I
met
got
you.
my sewing in the garage.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
Oh,
dude. Look at that. This is great. I love this.
Hey, I appreciate so much you guys.
No, I want to come to you.
Reach out.
When you have a yard sale, let me know. I'll drive out to your house.
I've often thought, when I finally get rid of my collection, someone's gonna luck out.
May I make a prediction? You will
Yes,
never
sir.
get rid of your collection. You will
Well,
ever.
I probably
yeah.
won't. In fact, my wife often jokes about my kids having to take all this out of the house because I'll leave in a box someday and leave it all to them.
Oh my God. Your garage looks like your man cave. It like never
Yeah.
ends. There's
Yeah,
like there's continuity here, man.
The whole idea is to cover.
Yeah.
You've done a good job, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
What's your license plate? Is it Rush related?
It's been Bengals related
Oh, okay.
forever. You go into nooks and crannies even. So
Yeah, let's see.
here we are in my garage. What happens when I pull this box back here?
Oh my God, that's incredible. Awesome. Do you have friends that like Rush? Like, are your friends? Are you the only guy in your group of buddies that likes Rush, or do you have like a whole team of buddies that just love Rush as much as you?
I would have to say, John, that it's not unlike yourself, right? I mean, Rush fans gravitate to each other is an inevitability. So many of my friends are great Rush fans, but many are not.
Yeah, same
It
here.
becomes that debate that we all have too, which
Yeah.
more often than not comes down to Getty's voice.
Yes, of course.
And it was like that from the beginning, right?
Yeah,
But, Getty's voice, the way it's evolved through the years, I've literally loved everything about his voice and how it's changed. And then the most incredible thing, which Neil recently came out before he passed, of course, which was devastating.
Very much so.
And that's one of those things that we could talk about as well, but we want to stay focused on the positive. But
Sure.
with Getty's voice, Neil said toward the end that one of the most miraculous things was how Geddy's voice held up.
Right.
And I could not believe live concerts when he's deep into his 60s, how he could go back R40 and capture that almost helium Geddy sound from the 70s and still produce that live night after night. I mean, even back in the day when they do 230 or whatever concerts a year, the idea that he could do that for more than a night, let alone pull that off night after night after night, just brilliantly.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely cray. And you know, he lost, I think, like in the last couple of years that he was doing, I think he lost like a little of the top range, like at the absolute highest part of it. But that's it. And I mean, there are, you know, there are a lot of
so brilliantly, right? I mean, he'd make it perfect in the new voice. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't really notice that anything was in, you know, I mean, if you're like really, really hyper analyzing it, then maybe you might notice a little bit. But, you know, I mean, I think it speaks a lot to the quality of those guys' performances. I don't think any of them, Geddy, Alex, Neil, would ever have been comfortable phoning it in, you know?
They would never compromise. And in fact, it's amazing the final tour that Neil was hurting as badly as he was, and how he never came off of the absolute peak of his game. He was playing at the highest level ever at the end, and he was in severe pain. I mean, guys like that I mean, tell me where guys like that exist except for Rush. They don't. It's Rush. It's just Rush.
So how are you as a fan coping with the idea that Rush will never tour again?
Well,
it feels like they will. I haven't accepted that Neil's gone in a lot of ways.
Right.
So, and when they were a functioning band, there was always hope of that next album and that next tour. But now it's finite, right? It's just it's there, it's done. How do you deal with that as a Rush fan?
I listen to Rush. You know, I listen to Rush 330 days a year. The other 35, I can't get to them, and it frustrates me. I've worked out with my headset since I was 18 years old. I bet 95 to 100% of the time I've listened to Rush. So their music's timeless, and so I go to their music. I also watch their DVDs. They did such a brilliant job documenting their career.
Agreed.
Yeah. And they still are coming out. What they're doing with these records that they release as a record turns 40 years old, whether it be, and it's going to be Moving Pictures coming up.
Right.
But I mean, they did it with Farewell to Kings. They did it with Hemispheres. They did it with Permanent Waves, where they come out with this set that is that tour live. And one of the things about Rush, I know you guys have noticed, is they always play their music brilliantly, but the music that's most current, that they're most passionate about during that tour, they'll play it better than any other time, right?
Sure.
So they'll still play it brilliantly, but when they're really impassioned about it, that's when and so for them to come out with music from those tours that have been, you know, records we haven't heard, and the idea that they brilliantly documented their career and have all that stuff in the arsenal to release. Yeah. You wonder how I deal with it. Well, it's because everything about them helps us therapeutically deal with it when they're putting out new music, and all their old music's always brilliant forever.
Yeah.
Just looking in their background, it looks like a museum. I mean, I feel like I'm at Graceland or something, like the Elvis Presley of Rush.
So now, if we move through here, you know,
there's
even
more.
Even the restroom.
I was going to say, what's the bathroom look like?
Yeah, right.
Wow, look at that.
All right, so now some of this might be a little messy. This room's sort of my framing room.
Wow.
I'm going to do the ceiling in here too, but don't tell my wife.
Wow.
And then this is the actual lounge area, if you will. Can you fathom that the Bengals are up 17-0 right now? Is it 2020 or what? And I would be there, right? I'd much rather be with you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you know, this is the Bengals area.
Nice.
You can see the idea is to cover, right?
Yeah.
Which city do you live in again?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, okay, right.
Oh, you're in Cincinnati proper?
Dan, if I hop in my car now, I'll pick you up in Brooklyn, we can be at Jeff's house in about
Like
10 hours.
There's nothing I'd rather do than party with a person.
I wish I was there, man, because that looks like a fun place to party in.
Well, so tell me a little bit about you guys. I mean, when did you come up with this idea? And, you know, can you imagine there being more fun? And can you imagine anything but this?
Yeah, well, the pandemic had a lot to do with it. Dan and I met we're both authors. We met at a book event in 2019, and we both have written books about Woodstock, the festival Woodstock, and then we kind of sniffed each other out. I recognized Dan immediately as a Ronnie James Dio fan at a hippie fest, and then
Dio, what a voice that comes out.
We love our JD, and then Rush came up as a natural, and then boom, I thought of the idea of a podcast on Rush, and I said Dan would make a great co-host, and he said yes. And we're 25 episodes in since last spring. So,
can I ask you one more thing? Go ahead.
Of course.
Go ahead. Well, Dan, you were going to say something first.
Oh, no. Well, it was a lot of it was Neil passed, and and then the pandemic started, and it was like, well, it was John's idea. John was like, maybe this is a good time to we'll use this time constructively.
Yes.
To kind of try and process what's happened. Because this was a huge blow to everybody. Mm-hmm. And, I have to say, I think it's the most constructive thing we could possibly have done under the circumstances.
No doubt.
But, meeting people like you and all the other fans and that sort of thing, that's just been, it's been, I don't even want to say it's a bonus, because that's been the thing. I thought at first, like, it would start off, we'd just kind of talk about the records and it would be fun and that's it. But it's become so much more than that. And the people have just been amazing. But it's funny that we met each other at a Woodstock event, because something you said, that Rush fans always find each other. Right. We just found each other. It's like gravity. It's like, it's this irresistible.
We didn't even have Rush T-shirts on or anything.
We didn't even talk about it.
I know,
but you just know somehow.
I know.
Phenomenal.
I could tell you, man, when you took us into your dwelling, and I really got excited about it. I get excited about a lot of guests, but it's this stuff that I want to see, like, what makes fans tick and why they love the band so much. And just you've been such a great guest, Jeff, and we really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I can't thank you guys enough. I do want to ask, where were you when you heard about Neil's passing?
Well, Dan, you can go first.
I was working, and I'm a writer, and I had to write a news article about it 30 minutes after it happened, which was horrible. And I, like, for my own blog, just like actually talking about my own feelings about it, I didn't even try to write anything for a few weeks. But like having to come up with a news article like that was not great. But I was like so many people, when traumatic things happen, I was at work.
John, how about you?
Well, thanks for asking that. Everybody knows, I'm known throughout my family and friends as being a major Rush fan. And, I've gotten picked on because of it, bullied. I've been shamed.
It's worth it.
That's okay. Rush shaming. There is such a thing. My phone lit up with text. Sorry to hear about Neil. And I was like, what's going on? And then I'm very close friends with Donna Halper. I called her to confirm. She said yes. And then I was taking care of my 4-year-old on that day, and I just started bawling. I could bawl right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
And she asked, Dada, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why are you sad? I said, I lost a really good friend.
Mm. Yeah. And that's a good way to put it too. I mean,
I didn't know him.
Best friend forever.
I didn't know him, but it felt like I lost someone.
Yeah, you did know him though. But
it felt like he knew us. That's the thing. It's like I never met him, but I felt like he knew me, because his lyrics and the things that he did musically were just so were almost like a little ahead of what I knew I wanted to hear. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like losing a very close friend who's one of the few people who really gets you and really.
I asked. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I have the same connection, and a lot of it, although his lyrics were so brilliant and covered, you know, such a landscape of every subject matter, you know, imaginable. But the concept of time and the speed of life, that, you know, common thread and theme in their music, really beginning in the 80s, but carried on through Clockwork Angels, which the title of the record itself speaks to their...
the fact that The Garden is the last song on their final album is so prophetic. I mean, it gives me chills every time I hear it. You know, it's just
so brilliant. You knew it was the last cut, right? I mean, when I heard it, I'm like, the final song they're going to cut.
And imagine that song being the final Rush song of all Rush songs.
It's so brilliant.
It really is, man.
To The Garden, just, you know, couldn't have been a better,
that's a good way of putting it.
Song, and couldn't have been a better and more climactic song on a record that Getty considers their greatest record ever. Now, you tell me who's making their best of anything. Name an occupation. Who does their best work in their 60s? Name anybody. Name a musical artist who did their best work in their 60s.
Yeah.
Only Rush.
Exactly.
Only Rush. I can't think of another. Can you?
No, there's nobody.
That's true, man. It's true. Well, we end our fan segments and all segments with asking folks what their top 5 Rush albums are. It's a difficult task, but we're going to ask you that question. What are your top 5 Rush albums?
And live albums are allowed.
I love
Sorry,
it.
that's my thing.
I've heard the debates about the live albums too. Geez, you could talk about the live albums, and
I know I don't like the live albums in the top 5, but Dan and I have to negotiate these things.
So I'm going to give you studio albums. Understand though that this is like comparing children, right?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
It's not something. In fact, one friend refuses to do it about songs, let alone albums or members. But top 5, I'm going to go Clockwork Angels and Moving Pictures to follow in suit with Getty. I mean, you know, he's the baddest MFer in the history of the world, right? So I'm going with Getty and agreeing with Getty on Clockwork Angels #1, Moving Pictures #2. I'm going to go Hemispheres, Power Windows.
Power Windows, cool.
And gee, you know, I'll say Permanent Waves.
Nice.
That's really like almost every era. Like you really did touch on pretty much everything. Because you know,
I love John. I'm sorry, Dan and John. I love every single note of every single record for all really 50 years of Rush. 41.
Yeah.
50. And you know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I know you guys feel the same way. It's impossible to get tired of anything. I mean, I could listen to Tom Sawyer a gazillion more times.
Yeah.
Never get tired of it, still welcome it, and probably every 10th time get full body chills.
I've never been sick of their music for a minute of my life, ever.
It's so brilliant.
And I listen to it plenty, you know?
You'll hear stuff still. What I would encourage you to do, my kid and I, we always did this when he was younger. We'd say, who wins this song? And we'd determine who was the best effort. Was it Neil on drums, Alex guitar, or Getty with everything that he does? And it was a fun game. But when you think about it, you know, the band members are, in my opinion, equals. I mean, equally brilliant. You hear so much about Neil, so much about Getty, but Alex is just the most underrated and, in my opinion, the greatest guitarist ever. He just is. That sound is the sound I like. It's brilliant. It's
nobody else plays like him. I've never heard anybody else where I'm like, oh yeah, he's doing Xanadu. You know, I never hear it.
I couldn't agree with you more. And by the way, next time you want to call and just talk for 10 or 12 hours, let me know.
We will, man. You're always welcome on Two Guys Talking Rush, Jeff. Jeff Wagner, ladies and gentlemen, super Rush fan, and thanks for letting us into your life, man. This is great.
Thanks for coming into my life, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and
you too, man.
Keep rocking, gentlemen, forever. Rush.
Happy New Year, and let's hope next year is a better one.
Absolutely. 2021 will be awesome.
Oh, man. What a way to end the show, huh, Dan?
Yeah, right on.
That was good.
It's great. I mean, it's great to meet people like that, you know?
I know. I just loved going into his cavernous man cave and looking around all the I mean, he really covered every inch of his wall.
I couldn't make that kind of commitment. I got to tell you.
No, my wife couldn't either. She'd kick my ass.
I mean, you could see in his house that there were areas that were, you know, completely free of anything.
Yeah.
Wife part of the house. Then his part of the house where it's just, oh my God.
I know. Well, I'm sort of spent. I'm tired, my legs throbbing, and but I think I had a lot of fun tonight. I know I did.
Hell yeah. We always have fun.
I know.
This is always fun.
It's a marathon, no pun intended, a marathon episode of Two Guys Talking Rush. Well, folks, what can I say? Another mammoth episode of Two Guys Talking Rush. My name is John Kane.
I am the delightful Dan Bukszpan.
And thank you for listening to Two Guys Talking Rush. What can I say, folks? Rush rules.
Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys.
Live music inspires millions around the world, but the concerts we all enjoy wouldn't be possible without the countless crew members working behind the scenes. As COVID-19 puts concerts on pause, we want to extend a helping hand to the touring and venue crews who depend on shows to make a living. Crew Nation was created to do just that. Crew members are the backbone of the live music industry, and we hope you'll join us in supporting them through this temporary intermission until we can once again unite millions around the world through the power of live music. Crew Nation is powered by Music Forward Foundation, a charitable 501c3 organization that will be administering the fund. Live Nation has committed $10 million to Crew Nation, contributing an initial $5 million to the fund, then matching the next $5 million given by artists, fans, and employees dollar for dollar. Please support Crew Nation at www.livenationentertainment.com/Crew Nation.